Alright, so this video is here to explain what happens when you have Mars in the 4th house in your birth chart. What is Mars? Mars represents our brothers. It represents blood. It represents oil. It represents weapons, violence, fire, energy, sexual energy, debts, loss, loans. What is the 4th house? The 4th house represents our mother. It can sort of give you insight on a relationship you have with your mother, because Cancer and the Moon are the natural rulers of the 4th house, and Moon represents your mother. The 4th house represents your private life, which is the life that you typically have within your household, the life that you typically have within your family. Not too many people know the real you is the one that the way you behave when no one's around. And typically, you reveal your true self when you're in the house alone, or when you're in the home with your family. Those type of environments is when you really express yourself. The 4th house represents your properties, because your own house, your own home is a property, is part of your private life where you feel so you can be yourself. Even your car, because that's something that you own. That's a part of your property too. And people can feel real comfortable, feel that they can be themselves in their car too. People sleep in their car. People record videos in their car. People even have sex in their car. So the cars are sort of tied to the 4th house also, which is part of your property and your private life and things that make you feel safe and secured. So that is the 4th house. So what happens when you have Mars in the 4th house? One of the things you might see with Mars in the 4th house with some people is that this person might experience a lot of losses when it comes to their personal possessions, such as their house and their car. Potentially. This doesn't apply to everybody. Certain things will have to be seen in a person's chart to confirm this. But I say this because Mars is a significator of debts and losses. So, during certain transits, or maybe during certain planetary time periods, you might experience a period where you might you just can't hold on to nothing. Some stuff falling apart in your house, or you getting evicted, you gotta move, or you're having trouble with your car and stuff, and you gotta go get a new car and stuff, Something might be going on with your Mars. Mars might be your 4th house lord, or Mars might be sitting in your 4th house, or your Mars might not be in the best condition or something, and you might see this happen and stuff. But at the same time, Mars is a fighter. Mars is a warrior. And when you're in war, when you're in war with someone, you're usually fighting to gain something. Granted, there's a whole lot of people that die. There's a whole lot of casualties that come about war. But you usually are fighting for something. You are fighting to gain something through those losses that you experience. So just as much Mars can produce potential loss of properties and of, cars and house and whatever, you can also gain stuff. Like I used before in another example of one of my Mars in the 4th house videos before this one. You can get into a car accident and it be that driver's fault. And through his insurance company, you get paid out a large lump sum. And you get a better car. And you get continuous payments because you're going to physical therapy or something. You just gain something through your loss. Or you go to court, you have some big legal battle. You end up winning something. You lost some money, you lost some time in the process, but you ended up winning something through your efforts, through the war, through the fighting. You gained something. So Mars can signify gain through losses also. But what else can happen with Mars in the 4th house? Mars can make you potentially have maybe a turbulent relationship with the mother. Because Mars represents war and fighting and aggression and debts and losses. So, I don't know. You might see those type of elements manifest some way, somehow within the 4th house. So maybe you had a turbulent relationship with the mother where she was very maybe aggressive or abusive, or maybe she was a source of financial losses and maybe had some type of potential negative impact when it came to you acquiring your own place, or had some type of negative impact when it came to you acquiring a vehicle and a car, with Mars in the fourth house. But Mars can potentially sort of make you also very protective of the home that you came from. Mars might make you very protective of the home that you came from, and it can make you very protective and aggressive of the property, of your cars and personal items and stuff. Because Mars is his warrior, Mars is his protector. Mars is also a significator of land, because what happens when a country goes to war and they beat a country and stuff? They take over that land. So Mars is a natural significator of land. And therefore, like I said, you can gain land, you can gain property through legal battles, through fighting over it or something, through sudden losses or something. You can gain land and gain property. But you can also lose things. So that's like the yin-yang sign of Mars. And this is how that yin-yang sign, this is how that yin-yang effect sort of manifests itself when Mars goes into the fourth house. You can experience some sudden losses and struggles with your property and with your vehicles, or you might suddenly gain stuff through your losses. Like, for example, worst case scenario, let's say you got Mars in the fourth house and whatever type of planetary positions and aspects, and you get kicked out your house by your parents. You get thrown out your house or whatever by your lover, by your parents, and you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I just got thrown out. And then you start hustling and grinding and working real hard, and you end up getting your own spot that's better than most people who move out on their own. And, you know, that fire of Mars was ignited and you ended up getting your own spot through sudden loss. Or, you know, crazy examples like that could potentially happen. Mars in the fourth house can make you very ambitious and goal driven, because the opposite of the fourth house is the 10th house. So Mars looks at the 10th house of career. You could be someone who is very ambitious and very goal driven to want to get the hell out of the house that you might have came from. Or you're someone who's very restless within the household. You cannot sit still. You have to go out into the world, and you must be very productive and do something. So it's a lot of things that can manifest itself when Mars goes to the fourth house. Loss of property, turbulent household, protective of your possessions. In another sense, psychologically, you might be very protective of your possessions because you could be very fearful of losing them, because you might have already lost them at some point in your life. And because you already, you know, metaphorically and psychologically lost some type of war, you don't want to lose that war again. You don't want to lose your possessions again. So you become very protective of your possessions, and you will do whatever it takes to make sure that you are secure. Almost like some trauma, like for some people who might have experienced homelessness or whatever, and they regained themselves back on their feet. Oftentimes, they do whatever it takes to make sure they do not get put in that position again. And they're just very careful with their possessions and with their finances and stuff. So all those type of things that I just said might happen with Mars in the fourth house. And it's too much for me to just recap what I said. But I hope this gave you some good insight and clarity on what might happen when you have Mars in the fourth house in your birth chart. And thank you for watching.